The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the policy or position of ONTV's management, staff, or board of directors.
Hello, and welcome to About Town. My name is Sarah Luchsinger, and today our guest is Village Manager Joe Young. How are you doing today, Joe?
Great, Sarah. It's Monday, March 1st, so we're excited about the new month coming and spring on the way.
Yep. It's a nice balmy, 50 degrees outside?
Not today.
Well,
we can hope.
It was starting to get a little warm there. So, welcome, and thank you for being on.
Well, thanks for inviting me on.
So, we will get into what the village manager does and all of that. But first, where did you grow up?
I grew up in an old town near Niles, Michigan. It's in the southwest corner of the state. I lived in the township. It's called Brandywine, was the school district. So I was a Brandywine Bobcat.
Better than what I was. I was a Seaholm Maple Leaf.
Oh, my.
Yes. Very, very, very intimidating, us Maple Leaves. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a very broad elevator speech here. How did you go from Niles to Lake Orion?
Sure. Well, was a baseball player.
Oh.
And in high school, and I wanted to become a baseball player for my career, even though my dad owned a roller skating rink, which I worked at. And he also was an accountant, so bookkeeper. So I went to college and got my finance accounting degree. But I went there primarily to play baseball because my baseball coach in high school said you should go to Central Michigan University. So I went, and we never went outside because of the winter warm-up, and I was cut off the team before we even went out.
Oh, no.
So that career went over.
But did you finish your degree at Central?
Oh, yeah. I was there for the next 3.5 years. I became a manager at a restaurant there called the Pixie, if anybody from Mount Pleasant knows that. And that was when hamburgers were 15 cents.
Oh, we can only imagine that. That must have been a good time in life.
Oh, yeah. It was like living back in the 80s. Well, it was back in the 80s. But it was quite an interesting experience for me. My dad owned a roller skating rink. So I would manage and run the roller skating rink.
Okay.
And part of why it was a good picture because we had ice cream. And ice cream is very hard to scoop.
Yes.
So I had pretty strong arms and could, make curves and things in the pitching. And so it was quite glad that my dad had that opportunity. It was right next to our house.
Gotcha.
So.
How do you remember how fast you could throw?
They didn't speed it back that time.
Oh, okay.
So.
But so you were in high school. You were good enough to. Did you get recruited, or did you just go?
No. I didn't make the college team because
Gotcha.
we never went outside. I didn't think, well, when are we going to play ball? Well, you're not playing. I said, oh my goodness, what? But anyway, I did play senior softball.
Well, there you
we
go.
won a couple championships as we did when I was playing in high school. So that's why I always like the team sports. Everybody working together.
Yep.
You got your base and area to cover. You help each other out. It's a lot of fun and fellowship as well, and then exercise. And it's a great, America's game. They call it baseball, but softball these days.
I've learned something new about you within the first 5 minutes of this podcast. No, that's very interesting. I actually was on the. I'm 5'5", so I was too heavy to be a rower and too tall to be a coxswain. But I was on the novice team for crew at Michigan State my first year.
Wow.
So yeah, I did not get asked back to be on the team after that. But oh well.
Hey, we learned something, and just like I on your podcast with Jerry, I learned you played the violin.
I did,
and so did I.
Well, there you go.
When I was in 5th grade, I took lessons till I was a senior, and the senior I stopped because I didn't practice.
Well,
because my dad roller skating rink. I worked 3-4 nights a week, so
gotcha.
And I remember my practice was in the class. That's why I never made it out of third chair. But it really helped my appreciation of music.
Well, that's good.
By being involved in the orchestra. And of course, we did musicals and things in high school.
Yeah.
So, and I still love music very much and play it when I'm working by myself at the office. You come by and you'll hear Jack Scott or Dean Martin or who knows what
Wonderful
going on. So
Okay, so I'm going to back up because I do want to talk more about the music and stuff in a minute. But
Sure.
so you went to Central, and then what?
Well, I was offered an opportunity to stay with the restaurant company I was
Mhm.
with, Pixie.
Mhm.
But I went and I was an accountant, so the city of Pontiac was hiring 4 new accountants.
Okay.
And this was back when they still had IBM cards, if you know what those are.
I hate to admit it, but I don't. I don't know what that means.
Well, they had punch cards, and that's how they ran the computer.
Okay.
And
Okay.
anyway, they were converting from this manual system to a computerized system, and so they hired 4 accountants, and I was one of them.
Mhm.
And it was a great experience. The city of Pontiac is a big place and a very diverse community, and I worked my way up there to internal auditor and finance director, and it was one of my first firings because of political firing, working in government.
Mhm.
You are susceptible to that. And so I moved on to the city of Pontiac as
Okay.
their finance director. So I'd say that was a pretty good move.
Yes.
Going from Pontiac, which at the time was a booming community. So I was there when we built the Silverdome. I was controller at that time.
Okay.
I remember handwriting checks to pay for parts of the Silverdome. I remember that's how long
That-
ago it was. So
That's how long. Okay. So you didn't have the machines where you just printed or
Not-
sent that check request to
Well-
some, theoretical person who would print it off for you.
Not in this case because it was a special bond issue. But
Gotcha.
I do remember I got married when I was a senior in college, and
Mhm.
my son was born a year later. I remember taking him to the first game at the Detroit, the Pontiac Silverdome in 1973.
That must have
August.
been pretty amazing because,
So, and he was just a little, 3-year-old kid. He
Uh-huh.
didn't know what was going on.
but okay. So you were that for Pontiac, and then what was the next step?
Kalamazoo finance director for 7 years. Worked with Robert C. Bob, who was quite known. He was in the East Coast and the West Coast. I learned a lot from him. I learned then I could be a manager too because I was a finance accounting person. And I said, well, I can do this. And fortunately, in my career, I've been able to do that. And I've had quite a variety of different places I've worked
Mhm.
because of, again, somewhat politics, but also because people came looking for me. So I was in Pontiac my first term. I was let go by the finance director who had an issue with the city manager. And so he said, well, I can't have you here if you're going to, back then we didn't have freedom of information,
Mhm. Yes.
believe it or not.
Well.
And so when somebody asked, well, I'd like to see the travel voucher
Mhm.
for this person,
You can.
I provided it. Why? I don't have nothing to hide.
Right.
Well, they thought you shouldn't have done it,
Oh.
even though it's, quote, public information.
Right. Right.
So, things happen for a reason, I always believe.
Yeah.
So I went to Kalamazoo. Matter of fact, I turned down a job to go to Rock Island, Illinois, not having this job offer from Kalamazoo. It's like, well, you're counting on this job. I certainly am, because I was from Niles, so that's
Mhm.
near Kalamazoo.
Right.
So I want to get back to where my mom and family were.
Okay.
And I was there for about 7 years, and then I can't remember exactly what happened, why I moved or changed, but I went to Southfield. They were looking for a controller, and Southfield's a great place to be at. And so I'm there for a few months, and Pontiac switched from a city manager form of government to strong mayor form of government
Okay.
in 1982. And the mayor was Wally Hound. He was the weak mayor when he was city manager. He became mayor. And so they came looking for me, saying, Joe, we need you to be part of our new form of government. And I said, well, I said, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, we'd like you to be deputy mayor.
Oh.
And I said, well, if I could also be finance director, because that was my forte.
Mm-hmm.
So I was blessed to work Pontiac, which, by the way, I worked there 3 different times in my career.
Yep.
I was offered to come back twice,
Mhm.
asked to come back twice, which I didn't do because I stayed in Oxford. But anyway, it was a great experience working in the community. With the mayors, they're elected every 4 years. So if your mayor doesn't get elected, you're not guaranteed a job.
Gotcha.
So again, I was, out looking for a job. And back then I went, where did I go? I went to Hazel Park then because they were looking for a manager there.
Mm-hmm.
So the people I'd worked with over the years, if there was an attorney, labor attorney, he said, Joe, we need you to come and apply for the city of Hazel Park. We need to be the manager. And it was interesting there, they wanted me to build an ice arena for them. So that was before I even hired. I said, Joe, we want you to build an ice arena.
And just as an aside, we talked about your idea of building a ice rink in Lake Orion. Just briefly,
Portable one, right.
Yeah. So now I see that ice rink, skating rinks, pretty much been part of your background too.
True. Yeah, I'd like to get us a roller skating rink. That'd be great too. But
any investors?
Pardon?
Any investors out there?
No. It'd be great exercise. I know, roller skating went away for a while. There's still a few around, but it's really great exercise. The Chicago skate brand name, the tagline was for health's sake, roller skate.
Yeah, I am a big klutz. When I did do figure skating for.
Wow.
This was when I was younger, but as soon as we had to get off the ground and start spinning, I realized that probably wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Hey, if we get a roller skate rink or if there's anything like that around here, I will give it the old college try, but I can guarantee it won't be pretty.
Well, the roller skates, at least you have 8 wheels.
Right.
To keep
At
balance.
least there's
ice skating. I could never get ice skating with that blade. I couldn't get that too much. Either.
No. I'm sorry. So you went from.
So I went to Southfield for a short time, and I got called to come to Pontiac. Was with the mayor there and finance director and deputy mayor, and then mayor didn't get elected, so I had to go find another job, which I ended up going to a research firm, a Michigan Biotechnology Institute. It was in conjunction with Michigan State University. It was a brand new company. They'd been part of the university research, and it was all about using biotechnology to convert renewable resources and things of that nature. And so I was hired in there, and I had to set up an accounting system, and we ended up building a $10 million building while I was there. And it was quite interesting because, again, I was working with a very diverse group of scientists from all around the country, some of who you have to challenge to understand what they're trying to tell you. And being in accounting and finance, you had to be able to understand and translate it to the grant forms and reports you needed to have. So I always enjoyed working with a diverse community there. Matter of fact, well, one thing I went then from went to Hazel Park. I ended up there after Michigan Bio. Well, no, I went back to Pontiac again. I forgot to remember. I went there 3 times.
Yep.
Went to Pontiac, then Hazel Park was looking for me, and then I was let go because the ice arena that they wanted me to build didn't make money because the schools were not participating. You don't have a base revenue source. It's not going to work well at all. And so I was let go, and then I ended up getting a job. Hamtramck at the time was in a receivership with Luchsinger, if you've heard that name before, but they were in bankruptcy. And so he hired me, brought me on. I was there for a year or two and helped them get through refinancing and getting themselves organized. I was on the charter review committee. I helped spearhead rewriting their charter, which was going to a strong mayor. Was going to a city manager form of government. It was a strong mayor, so it was going just the opposite of what Pontiac did.
Gotcha.
Because it wasn't managed well. So
what scheme do you think is better, the mayor or the village manager?
Well, both can work. It comes down to the people.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's a matter of what works, and as long as you have your competent people, because I always tell everybody, you're only as good as your people. You can intend well and do well, but if you don't have the people you're working with you helping move the right direction, you're not going to work out well.
Gotcha.
It'll be a continuous challenge instead of the successes like we are here we're having in Lake Orion, where we've got a lot of positive things going on because the community is working together and understand what we're about and what we want to try to accomplish with one another. And so I was, been blessed to work with a number of people over the years, and and Hamtramck was interesting because it's to a very diverse community, and they're again working with the people and trying to understand them and them understand and help them because people don't know what's involved in government and all the rules and procedures. And that's why one of the things I try to focus in. I was okay. You got to remember, I've been in business because of my dad, a rink, skating rink, and all. I was in the restaurant business, so I'm not just a government person that doesn't know that the goal isn't just to fill out the form and check the right boxes. It's to help get somebody successful and move forward
Gotcha.
and help facilitate it because it's a challenge, as you know, running your own business.
Well, yeah, it is a challenge.
Every day, in government, I tell, hey, government, they get their payday the first day of the year.
Mhm.
The taxes go out. They don't have to worry about, quote, significantly like you do business every day. You got to worry about it. The customers are going to come into your store that day.
And if your car keys are in the right place when you're trying to leave.
Well, that's true, too.
I get that one. Okay, so you've done all of this work in finance and government,
Right.
and then you made it to Oxford.
Yeah, well, how I got there is
Yep.
after Hastings,
Mhm.
Hamtramck.
And Tremec. Okay.
I went to Hastings.
Okay. Wow.
With the
So
job.
there's just a laundry list of places you've been in
Well,
Michigan.
we get to Oxford next.
Okay.
So I'm in Hastings. I get this job.
Uh-huh.
I'm in there 2 months. The people from Pontiac who knew me wanted me to come to Oxford
Ah.
to be their manager.
So the people in Pontiac moved to Oxford,
Yes,
somehow got to Oxford, and
exactly.
then,
Yes.
well, that actually says quite a lot about you if you've been hauled all around southeastern Michigan.
Right. It's good to know people
Right.
look for you. So I didn't, I've had to look for my jobs, but it's great to know you're wanted and needed somewhere and
Yeah.
help out. And the same thing with Lake Orion. They lost their manager. I was let go because politics again. I was another one of my fights.
Now that I'm a politician, I prefer local elected official. I prefer that instead of politician.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all there is a lot that goes into the politics of things. So
Yeah.
you were let go, and then you came to Lake Orion.
I was let go on Friday, and the next day I started
Well, there you
in
go.
Lake Orion. So, one of the council members was pushing me to, turn your resume in and apply, which I did, and I'm very thankful. I've been here almost 4 years coming this next month, and it's hard to believe that the time's gone so quickly.
Can you repeat that? How many years?
4.
4.
Yeah. And I'm 74 years old, in case anybody's wondering about it. I've been around, but as my mom used to say, you're going to be forever young.
There you go.
So my mom always say that. But anyway, and I'm very thankful to be part of moving forward and making things better. Because there's a lot of need in our community. I know you're somewhat familiar with just the infrastructure issues alone with water, sewer, and streets, and our creek, and our parks. There's a great need besides the whole overall economic standpoint of development in our community. We've got, the vacant Heman Center building. We had some vacant properties, the lumberyard, which is underutilized. So there's a lot of development opportunities, on which way you look at it. We have the marijuana situation where part of one of the proposals is to bring in 15 condo units on the lake and another restaurant. So all these things will be coming up that you'll be dealing with too.
Yes.
As a
yes.
council member, so exciting
Well,
times.
I'll be around for 4 years. Well,
Well, at least.
3.5 now.
Yeah, well, hopefully longer, but yes.
Yep.
So it is commendable for anyone to participate in local government. To me, it's especially a business person, which is what we need, because government is a business, and that's what some people forget sometimes.
It's just this big entity that makes decisions. No, you're right. It is a business
We
as
got
well.
to cover our costs. We got to never stop. I always use the Lowe's tagline, never stop improving, because it's true. And that's what keeps things moving and better and new ideas. And one thing I like and enjoy about government is you get very different peoples and their viewpoints and experiences, which they bring to the mix, and you come back with what hopefully is the best possible solution for whatever the challenge might be in front of you or opportunity. So I like that part of government. It's not that it's set up like the federal government. Unfortunately, they have their little back room
Meetings and whatnot.
closed door meetings, and because Representative Slotkin was saying the other day, we don't know what goes on once they close the doors back there and what they come out with, which is not the way local government works.
No, and I actually was very happy that the first time I ran for office was for a nonpartisan position.
Yes.
That's actually a loaded statement, because what I'm saying is our village council is nonpartisan.
Right.
So we can put, we have a very diverse group of political views, backgrounds,
Sure.
occupations, et cetera, et cetera. The knowledge base is pretty vast.
Yeah.
And we can put the label, the Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Federal, et cetera, et cetera. We can put all of the party labels aside and really just focus on what's important
Right.
to our community.
Right. What's best for our community. Exactly. Right on. That's why, to me, that's the best form of government is local government. And, the county, the township, is even partisan, which I don't think that's right either. Because it should be the views of the individuals and what they bring to the table and what they can offer, and which is great to do that, because you're not compensated well for what at least financially you're not. It's
I don't know.
$10 a meeting.
I did
don't
it for the
know.
money. I gotta say, I did it for the money. That $10 is,
So,
I'm kidding. Everyone who's watching out there, I'm kidding. But okay, so finance guy, but you use both sides of your brain, because you said you liked music, and you got the finance, and then you said it in passing, but I'm going to bring it out.
Sure.
You and your wife got married your senior year of college.
well, my first wife,
Oh, okay. And then
which I have two lovely children from.
you have
Two lovely children and 4 grandchildren.
gotcha. And so currently,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, my wife and I, we've been married 14 years now.
Congratulations.
Married her up in Oxford. We met at Vicky's, Victoria's Delight restaurant. I know Vicky. Wow.
My husband actually, he does upland hunting, bird hunting with their dogs.
Sure.
So he gave her some pheasants
Cool.
a while ago. So
Yeah, Vicky's great. So we met there. Her daughter was a waitress there, and she introduced us, and so we've known each other. And in fact, our first date was to the Arts Beats and Eats in Pontiac, and we haven't been apart since.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I'm blessed. She has 3 daughters. One lives in Lapeer with 2 grandsons, a daughter in Texas and a daughter in California. My daughter lives in Arizona because she didn't like Michigan weather. And my son lives in Novi.
Okay.
And my son and daughter both are PAs, physician assistants. So I'm, as a father, very thankful for that. And, they're in the healthcare field. And my son married a doctor who's OB/GYN. So he helps deliver a lot of babies. So it's great. And I don't get to see my kids out in Arizona as much as I like, especially with the COVID thing going on. But yeah, I got a great family, and my wife's family, and
Wonderful.
great
Wonderful.
to be here. And of course, I consider Lake Orion my family too.
And you moved to Lake Orion.
Yeah, just in August.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
just the 4-story building is a 1-bedroom loft,
Uh-huh.
900 square feet. We had to downsize big time.
Well, I'll have to take a look at some of your pictures, because I want to see what it looks like in there.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife hasn't had her vaccine yet, so she's pretty
Yeah.
nervous
yeah.
about things. I fortunately, being 74, lucked out with the draw through Beaumont.
Mhm.
Was one I've had my second shot a couple weeks now.
Oh,
So
okay, good.
I was one of the few that lucked out somehow.
Well, I got to check the box when I was, I'm far down on the list because my age and everything, but I got to check on the box, local government. So
Sure.
that might,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Municipal worker. Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
my husband's an attorney, and you don't have to travel a lot because usually you're pretty geographically stuck
Right.
when you decide what state you want to take the bar in,
Sure.
because you don't want to take the bar exam that many times.
No.
So, very fortunate that Brad took it before me, so he knew exactly what I was going through when I was studying. But he might have to get on a plane and fly to Texas and go to a hearing in Texas. So, but that's in a couple of months. So we're hoping that we'll be able to find a vaccine for him.
Sure.
But tell us about the vaccine for you, that experience.
Well, I went down to Beaumont, and first when I went down there was this big long line. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be here for an hour or more. Well, it moved quickly. Went through my first shot. My arm was sore for a day or two. Came back 3 weeks later. Walked right in, right up there. Got shot. Didn't feel a thing.
Okay.
For 3 days.
And
So
usually
no
it's like
reaction.
the second
Pfizer.
shot that gets
Yeah.
if you're going to have a reaction, that's when it is. But you didn't have any.
It was even less than the first one.
Gotcha.
So
All right, well,
encouraging. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So you're waiting for your wife to get it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that we can have people in our apartment and show off because we have a beautiful view. We're on the corner, southwest corner lot. So the south is to the creek.
Hmm.
So we get to see the cranes and the ducks and the
Yep.
geese and sometimes the swan and the mink and the groundhog and, of course, the fish.
Yep.
And then, of course, across the lake, right there's the lake with the park. And then yesterday the cranes came flying around and through. And they wait on the bottom of the dam and fish there and eat. Which is
Oh,
quite something to see.
yeah.
And,
They just like sit on the docks next. We're on the lake too,
right.
so they just sit.
Right.
And I haven't really. We had a family cottage on Lake Huron, so we didn't really see the herons much.
Right.
And so
Right.
the first time we were driving by in a boat, and I just sort of turned, and there it was just sitting there. They're very majestic, but
Oh, yes.
they like to leave a mess.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yes, they leave
Oh,
messes
no.
everywhere, but
Wow.
they are still pretty majestic.
Yeah.
My husband actually really likes it when the loons come out.
Okay. I
He'll-
don't know.
yeah,
Oh, those are the
black.
like the ducks. So,
Yes,
yeah, I can't-
and there's only like
Wow.
one or two per. Like they need a lot of space, but he'll
Wow.
like just stand there with his coffee and look out on the water and like listen to them.
Ah.
And they're not like particularly melodic birds. They're like,
Right.
"Arr!"
Oh, okay.
What? He's like the
Wow.
loons. It's loon season. He's just
Right.
watching.
Wow.
But yeah, so
Well,
wonderful.
it was interesting. The cranes were flying around the lake, and somebody got a picture and sent it into TV news too,
Hmm.
and they showed a picture of it.
Well, we did
But,
have
and
some.
I have it on my phone, but it says Orion Township.
Oh,
It doesn't say Lake Orion. They were on Lake Orion.
gotcha.
So it's just, yeah, and somebody said, yeah, they do that all the time. It's Orion Township. Well, where did they get that from?
I actually had to correct someone in the line at the dollar store because they
Oh.
just moved in and they were talking about orange, and I overheard someone say, "Oh, I think it's all the same." I'm like, actually, there is a split between the village and there's like a split in the geographic area of the village versus the township.
Right.
So after that little explanation, she's like, "Oh, well, thank you very much."
Yeah. Well, that was interesting because, when Johnny Black's,
Mhm.
they have the one on Baldwin Road, right?
Yes.
And you would call them up, and they would say, Johnny Black, Lake Orion.
Mhm.
And my wife ordered a dinner thinking it was from the one in Lake Orion. So I'm sorry, your order's at the other place. So I
Yes.
went there. And even there, this is Johnny Black Lake. I said, no, this is not Lake Orion.
Okay, before we start
anyway.
a firestorm, political firestorm between us and the
No, we don't want to go there.
right. Let's not.
We're very supportive. We work together well, I think, with the township. I
Yeah.
know Chris Barnett. I worked with him on the Pontiac Trail when we were up I was in Oxford, and Donnie Steele, and they're all
Gotcha.
great. I love working with them, and they do our building inspections,
Mhm.
and of course the fire department,
Mhm.
and we work together on a number of things, and it's all about one community. And I know things have been improving since I've been here to help move things forward and see where our common areas where we can work together on, and even more so
Yep.
as we
So,
come along.
tell us a description of what a village manager does, which you are a village manager.
Right. Well, I take care of the operations of the village as far as underneath my responsibility where the buck stops is the police department.
Mhm.
So we have a full-time police department with part-time employees supplementing that. Great Chief Harold Rossman is doing well. He's been there a year now as chief. And then, of course, Public Works Department, where we take care of streets, water, sewer, parks, buildings. Wes Sanchez, today's is the first official day as director. And he's been with us 6 years, and he's very knowledgeable and wants to do well for our community. We had mentioned about the building inspection, but the zoning component is of villages. We have our own zoning ordinance where it looks at what kind of development and housing and commercial development we'd like. And that's, we have an outside consultant that helps assist that, a planner. We have, of course, all the infrastructure projects, anything going through there has to go through the manager to the council because the council has to authorize contracts and budgets, which is part of my job, is putting together a budget and putting together the agendas and presenting information from which they can, as local officials, make decisions on what's in the best interest of the village. So I'm here to serve the community and the council, and we also have the administrative functions, any other business, payroll, and accounts payable and billing out water and sewer. Unfortunately, we have to bill for that. But
Well, maybe that's unfortunately that we have to bill for it, but it's a very, very, very appreciated
Oh, yes.
service.
yeah, well, we have great water in the village of Lake Orion, and we've got improvements. We've been doing a $5 million water main replacement, which is only for phase 2 of 4 phases. So we're looking at how we can hopefully get some grant money, so we don't have to raise rates or deplete our revenues, because that's a challenge any community has. And then we got the water, because we got some water mains that are from 1940. And there is the lead service gooseneck line, which we're replacing. But the good news is the lead level on our water is 0.
That's
So
that's
contrary to what people say, just because it's lead doesn't mean there is lead in your line, because it depends on what the coating
sealant,
over the years. Because we used to have our own water plant years ago, before we switched to Detroit water.
Gotcha.
So like Oxford Village has its own water plant. And so does the Oxford Township, come to think of it. But Orion has the Detroit water, as the village does. So we've got the water mains, which we're replacing and we're looking more to do. But we also have our sanitary sewer system. And being on the lake, we have 16 what they call lift stations or pump stations, because unlike Oxford, the gravity flow is, they don't have any lift stations.
Gotcha.
But ours, we have to raise it up to get it to a level where it will flow down, and it goes back to Detroit. Just like our water comes from Detroit through the township, it goes back to where it came from.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, but replacing those 16 lift stations, they've estimated at $5 million, because they were put in 1970 when they put in the first sewer system.
Gotcha.
And
So we're dealing with a lot of things that are starting
very
to
expensive.
that need to be replaced.
And that's why we're waiting for state and federal infrastructure money, as well as our streets. Everybody knows our streets are not to the level they should be. I mean, Heights Road, by the way, is not a village street, even though you need to drive to it to get to the village islands. It's a road commission street. But I understand it's either this year or next year they're going to repave Heights, and I haven't gotten confirmation yet on what year. Because I know
hear
the
it
township,
first here, guys, on About Town. No.
Well, because I know Chris Barnett's been pushing for it, because a lot of residents.
Yeah, it's a main artery.
And the sheriff, Dan Toth, was telling me, we get a lot of complaints on Heights Road. Well, you should, because they did Indian Road, they did they're doing Walden this coming year. Clarkson Road's been done. So they've done all with that
now it's
major
Heights' turn.
one. I mean, Maybe Road is another one that needs help if you drive that much. But there's always a continuous, maintenance required on all of the streets. And we just, of course, had M24 done, which was quite a task.
That was. How is Oxford doing up?
The downtown area? Well, they're doing good. They're coming around. You notice there was some remodeling going down where the old A&A Forest used to be this weekend. They were refurbishing that for some kind of new development.
Gotcha.
And, of course, they got a number of restaurants there, as we do here in Lake Orion. We got over 10 very fine restaurants downtown. And we're very excited to have that downtown dining destination, I'll call it.
Yeah.
Along with all our waterways and trailways.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. So,
Sure.
There's a list of, projects that it's our
We'll call it wish list.
Honeydew list.
Project list, yeah.
What are the top 3 projects on there? I know each is important in a different way,
Sure.
but for you personally.
Well, certainly the water, sewer, and streets. Take care of safety first.
But there's a few fun. There's a few fun community things on there.
Oh,
so
sure, there are.
You got that one, and then what are the other?
The pavilion at Greens Park would be great. Upgrading the playground equipment, which is needing some updating. Getting better sound system, getting a sound system downtown, so we can have music downtown, and better lighting, including lighting up our waterfall, our dam, which would be a great placemaking thing. So those are the kind of things, but there's a lot of opportunities for improvement. I mean, we got a bank stabilization. The Paint Creek is eroded because over the years, and it needs to be shored back up and deepened so that the fish can survive better, especially the brown trout. We're one of the only area in southeast Michigan that has the brown trout, freshwater brown trout coming up.
Okay.
and they try to climb up the dam, which obviously they're not going to make it. But usually there's also a draw tube that goes underneath Greens Park. Maybe a lot of people don't know that, but there's a water that can flow in from the bottom of the lake to our creek
Okay.
to keep the water cold
Mhm.
in the summer months, May through I think it's October. That we could do that if the lake level is high enough. And the lake level is interesting because we don't control the lake level ourselves because it's controlled up by lakes north of us.
Mhm.
They have a legal limit they have to keep at.
Gotcha.
And so depending on how much rain they get or don't get, comes through ours. And then we do close the dam in the winter.
Mhm.
No, yeah. We open it. We open it in the winter. We close it in the summer because of all the rain. We want to
Right.
keep the lake level up for the people who enjoy the lake.
Yep.
Have the water levels up. And I know we get calls from people in the channel saying, hey, the water level's up. Well, we can't.
Right.
Got to balance the lake level and the creek level, which we control the dam, the blocks in the dam, and then the underwater we call DNR to let them know how many boards they can or take out.
Gotcha.
So it's a balancing act, and we have that drawdown every 5 years.
Yeah,
which
yeah. When
is
we moved
interesting.
in 2012, it was either that year or the year after
17
was
we
the
did.
was the year that it dropped. So it was
Right.
interesting because we could actually see, everything we need to fix on our seawall. But
Oh yeah.
it was interesting because you could see things that normally my husband's a big fisherman. That's why
Oh,
we moved
cool.
out here.
Wow.
So he got to like take his little rowboat out and make
Uh-huh.
notes in his mind
Uh-huh.
of where all the good fishing places are.
Oh yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
Well, that's great. To go. No, I didn't know he was a fisherman. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's that 5-year drawdowns come up in 2022.
Mhm.
And there's some question whether we should continue to do that, and that'll be a public hearing item for council to consider.
Okay, well
'Cause there's
that's
some people that want it, some people don't.
gotcha.
So it's something we'll have to figure out what we want to do because the drawdown actually goes through underneath a building.
Mhm.
I don't know if you knew that or not,
Mm-mm.
but M&B Graphics building by where Road Soda is,
Mhm.
there's two big 30-inch draw tubes that we open up. There's a gate there that we open up, and that's what gets it down in time because otherwise it'd take forever to
Gotcha.
lower it because we only lower it for 30 days and we bring it back up the next 30.
Right.
So it's a very short window there.
Yep.
And like I say, there's, different views on whether we should or should not do that. There is some ecological value somewhat because the zebra mussels are an issue,
Mhm.
for example. Some people consider that.
So you said that will be a public hearing in 2022.
Or sooner than that.
Or sooner. So how is from you? I get a hard packet as village council member. You
Sure.
come and you let me know what's going to be on the next agenda. When does that agenda get created?
Well, the council can tell me, anyone can say,
Mhm.
Joe, please put this on the agenda, or tell me when do you want to put it on the
Okay.
agenda? Because I work for you.
Well,
So
for us.
Yes, for us. So whenever it's appropriate, I mean, I do bring up things that we need to decide
Mhm.
what we're going to do. Like we have the goals setting session coming up.
Mhm.
What we need to know what everybody's input, if we're going to change any or
Mhm.
enhance any or not, so that
And-
we can build our budget next year, coming up, to allocate funds to those projects as they're prioritized by council.
And if you're a resident and you want to have something on the agenda, how would you?
Well, you can do it. You can call us. There's a form you can fill out online. There's a form also to request
Okay.
an item to be on agenda.
And that would be on the village website?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. LakeOrion.org.
Okay.
ORG. Or you can call us and we can work with you or ask your council member too.
Okay.
So lots of opportunities for input. It's one of the things that I'm glad we're doing this program because people need to realize that we're very accessible.
Mhm.
We're here for you. And you can call us, you can text us, you can see us. And then on whatever issue, because we get every issue, as you can imagine,
Okay.
that come in, some of which we don't have any control over. But we're there to try to help guide people because they don't know who do I call? Well,
Mhm.
here's the number you call. So we try to help people out because it's a challenge to
Yeah.
deal with everyday life. And then when the garbage doesn't get picked up or something, you say, what do I do?
Right.
Well, one thing, call us, but you also need to go online and fill it out because our company, GFL, has an online response thing, and they'll send you a text, which is great.
Okay.
So there's great communication, but you got to tell them.
Yep. You
It's
got to
the
bring it
old
up
question.
first.
You got to ask if you're going to, if you don't ask, you don't get. Well,
Right.
got to let people know.
Okay. So pretty much all that information would be on the village
Yep, website, or they can
website.
call our office.
Or you can call. And what's that number?
The village number is 248-693-9381.
Okay.
693-9381.
Put you on the spot there. I probably wouldn't.
No, that's good. I'm a good numbers person, so that's easy.
That's right. That's right. All right. So what are you involved in? I know you're involved in the community as the village manager, but
Right.
are there other organizations?
Well, sure. I'm a member of the Lake Orion Sunrise Rotary Club,
Okay.
a very active group that meets every Thursday morning. Now we're finally meeting again in person at Johnny Black's, and we welcome you as a guest anytime, seriously, or join us. It's a very diverse group. We got residents of the school, the local businesses, just residents, and they're very active. They do a lot of work for the community. They work with the schools. They provide the bed program for children that are in need. We provide beds for them, bedding. That once the school advises us of that, for example, and we do a lot of other. We did the Greens Park sidewalk and the retaining wall. They actually came out and cleaned and painted.
Oh, okay.
A volunteer day. They really enjoyed our community, and they're involved not only locally but also internationally. We also support the International Rotary with trying to get good water down in Columbia and helping with emergency room facilities down there as well, working with them. It's quite interesting. We're on Zooming with people from Columbia and hearing what their needs are and what the challenges are. And they've done groups that go down there occasionally, too, to help out and volunteer their time, which is quite interesting.
Wonderful.
So they're very involved, and they like to have a lot of fun, too. But Thursday mornings at Johnny Black in the morning. And then the third Thursday, we have a social event. Like last week, we went to the fire pit, ice sculptures, and ended up at Oat Soda. So that's a very good group. I mean, we got a lot of good groups in the Community Lions Club and American Legion and others that help out, and with the schools and the church, of course, Lake Orion Methodist Church and other churches in the area that help out those in need. And we're fortunate to have Fish and Love Inc. and NODA, all these services available for those that are less fortunate or have needs that we can help with.
Gotcha.
So glad about that.
All right. So now we're at the part where I get to ask you. Well, you might not have known this when you agreed to being on here, but I ask you 3 random questions.
Oh, random. Okay.
And as a thank you for putting up for that, I'll let you pick one to ask me.
For you? Oh,
yes.
great. Well, go on.
All right. So let's just.
That's interesting. I didn't realize they were just random.
Well, not all of my questions are random. I did think about it a little bit beforehand.
Next 3.
All right. Joe Young, what is your favorite childhood memory?
My favorite childhood memory.
I'll say top 5. Just let us know one if you can't remember your favorite one.
Yeah. Well, I think Christmas time. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, my mom and dad, and it was always a great time because the tree was full of presents, and it was a great time, and enjoyed being with a family. And I was fortunate that my aunts and uncles and all my cousins lived in 5 houses around us.
Oh.
So we would all play in the backyard, which was a big field. So the favorite memory is growing up with my family and cousins and aunts and uncles and everybody there.
Wonderful. Yeah, I don't know, having family that close. My sister, her family, and my mother are in Virginia, D.C. area.
Oh, yeah.
And that's good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding, Andrea, and Mom, if you see this. Oh,
yeah. Well, I'm the only one that moved away from Niles.
Gotcha.
So.
All right, and we sort of talked. So, question number 2, we sort of talked about this when you were talking about writing checks. All right, are you the type of person who types up your to-do list or writes it down?
I do both.
Oh, you do both.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm a writer. I have
like
notebooks everywhere.
I have right here.
Yes. I have all my notes.
But then I type them up, so I.
Oh, well, you're better than me. After writing, I'm done. Okay. And then, I'll let you, I'm just going to pick a random one here.
Well, you know what? Speaking of to-do lists, when the new manager came in 4 years ago, he gave me a 4-page list of things and status.
And how many have you done?
Well, unfortunately, there's some of this ones are still there.
Well, there you go.
like the Bridge Street seawall, and I mentioned about the lift stations, and the Parks and Rec, plan. There's a lot of them that did get done, but a lot of them still out there.
Well, you do what you can with the resources you got and the priorities you got.
Exactly, and I'm glad we got quite a few of them done. But anyway, do
Okay.
I get to pick one?
Yep.
Oh.
So can you see that? Oh, nope. That I'm sorry, my handwriting was too bad on that one.
Oh, okay.
If you can't,
Okay, sure, go ahead. That's a good one.
That's the one for me.
Yeah. You want me to read it?
Yes.
What would you do if you won the lottery?
Oh, somebody already asked me that one.
Oh, well then we won't ask that. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Oh my gosh.
I can eat pizza every day for the rest of my life and be happy.
Well then Lake Orion's got it everywhere.
Yes, they do.
Several different types.
Yes.
From oat soda to
I could basically, continue my eating pizza every day for the rest of my life and be happy and just keep on going to the different places downtown that have it. Yes.
Well, there's been talk about another one coming down by Cookies and Cream. Down there by that one area where the wine social is.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows my stance on pizza now.
Yeah.
All right. And so your third random question is
okay.
what was your favorite TV show growing up?
Favorite TV show? Wow. Well, I have to say The Lone Ranger.
Okay.
Because we was involved with that in Oxford, putting together the Lone Ranger Festival. Because Brace Beamer used to live there, and he frequented Lake Orion, too.
Gotcha.
So I've got quite a few. Matter of fact, I could have worn my Lone Ranger paraphernalia. And I asked Joe before we came in, does he have, the William Tell Richard theme that you could start the show with? But
unfortunately, we can't use any licensed music.
Yeah, I understand. But
we don't have the funding for that kind of license.
So anyway, that would be a thing. There's a lot of great movies back in the 80s, as you know.
I wasn't the Lone Ranger. That wasn't my masked superhero, but Zorro.
Oh, of course.
The black and white one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You bet.
I really thought Zorro was pretty.
Oh, yes. For sure. For sure.
Well, so you're a family guy, you're a finance guy, numbers guy. You appreciate music.
Yeah. Well, there's one piece of me that maybe people don't know, but I'm also the balloon man and bubble man in the park. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No.
Yeah, I do the twisty balloons and the rocket balloons and
I can't twist.
Bubbles.
I can't.
I can help you learn that because that's part of the joy I do is I teach not only the parents but the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get the middle school kids to learn how to do. Hey, I got books. You want to really get fancy. Now I do basic things, but it's a lot of fun and the kids enjoy it. And then you have the helium balloons too, and the rocket balloons are a big hit. If you know about rocket balloons,
I don't.
Oh my gosh! Well, I should have brought some.
Well, so when do you go out and do this?
On concerts in the park.
Okay.
I did it in Oxford for many, many years up there, and I brought it here.
Wonderful.
Part of my helping because I enjoy being children and having a good time with your family. Little things that make such a big difference. It's surprising.
We'll talk about community.
Even the bubbles, the wands, and those are kids' like.
Well, I know about bubbles.
Well,
I know about bubbles. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast today. And I learned a lot about you, and I also learned more about your position. And I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad working with you. And anything we can do to help out there, anybody listening, let us know.
All right.
So enjoy. We're living as a vacation.
Exactly. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for listening in, and we will see you about time.